I'll refer you to, which was adopted on the 23rd of July, is the councillor and staff interaction policy. If we can bring that up, please. It's LCC.030.00 2.0001. Yes, please. Now, that doesn't have its document ID number, it appears, but looking at that first page, that's the new policy that's been introduced and that you gave evidence about yesterday.
Yes.
Can I ask you about a particular circumstance? You spoke about it determining when a request by a councillor can be, in a sense, progressed through the system.
Yes.
And if we could bring up, I think it's page 9 of the document, it's section 5.12. Yes, which starts, I think, towards the bottom of that page. This provides the CEO may refuse access to information requested by a councillor. And then if we look at the top in the far right column, there are 3 circumstances where you may refuse access to the information.
I think there are 4, but...
Oh, sorry, 4, yes.
Yes.
Can I put to you this circumstance where there is an initial application for either access to information or answering a query that would appear to have been raised by a constituent of the councillor, and the particular inquiry, looking at it, you would be satisfied that that inquiry is necessary for the performance of the councillor's civic functions?
Yes.
What I'm interested in is whether this policy deals with if subsequent to that initial request, there are a number of follow-up requests where information is provided to the councillor and the councillor won't accept the answer and keeps on coming back and saying, look, I don't accept this, what about this, making further demands. So in a sense, the request has passed the gateway for it to be looked at and answered, but then subsequently there are follow-on requests which are pursuant to the approved first request. Does the policy deal with those circumstances?
Only if we extend the descriptions and the interpretations of, you could play B in there. So if the additional pieces or the repeated requests then became unreasonable diversion, it might hit that threshold. If the requests deviated from the original constituent complaint and went in a different direction, you could argue that it may be not in the performance of the civic duties. But there has been a number of occasions I can remember without any specifics where that scenario has presented.
5.12 or places the ability to refuse access onto you. Where there's a request which meets the prerequisite and it's actioned, and then you have arguably subsequent excessive requests, are you still brought into the picture as to what's going on? Or where you've got a tick for stage one and maybe a director or a manager is dealing with all the subsequent requests, is it the case that you may not necessarily be involved in that?
That's true. And where this could benefit from, in exactly your scenario, some kind of process diagram where that's happened and it's finished, or it goes around again. I think we could take a leaf from some engineering companies and put process diagrams into very granular form, so the staff can follow and they understand the gates and the movement of a request in this scenario. So I think that's informative.
Because I assume if it is the case that the follow-up requests come within A and B, you should be informed. But at the moment, it would be up to the director or manager or staff member to use their initiative and to bring you into the loop.
I think yes, that's true. I think where the frustration builds up is in your scenario, where it goes back to perhaps the practitioner or the worker who's doing the original request, and then the refusal to accept it then goes back and back.
Yes.
Then that person would escalate to the director. At some stage, they would ask me, "What are we doing with this?" And then I could make a call under A and B. But I might not see that. That might not be visible. Yeah.
Hypothetically, that may be after there's been a substantial number of subsequent requests and substantial resources
Time and cost
still being employed in dealing with those subsequent requests.
Correct.
Now, you also mentioned yesterday the recruitment and appointment policy. I'll just bring up two documents. The first one is LCC.030.005.0001. Yes, please. That's the recruitment and appointment policy. If we move down a little bit, you can see adopted the 6th of March 2025.
Yes.
That was the policy that you were referring to yesterday when I was asking you questions about recruitment practices.
Yes.
And in conjunction with that policy, there is a recruitment and appointment procedure.
Yes.
Would document LCC.030.005.0002 be brought up, and it can be live streamed? And again, you can see that was adopted 6 March 2025.
Yes.
And the policy and the procedure work in conjunction with each other.
They do.
Now, having a very quick read reading, any section where you've got the proposal that the particular successful applicant will be paid at market, and in particular a requirement that if that's how that's number one, how it's determined that that the person will be paid at market, and then your evidence yesterday that your position is that there needs to be access to market, whether it's through a market survey or contacting other councils, etc., and that should be documented. Now, I don't know if you've had a chance to read these recently, but is my very quick reading that those issues don't seem to be covered in either the policy or procedure is correct?
Yes.
Those particular issues of how do you determine it's going to be a market rate, and then how do you determine the market rate, and then the recording of evidence of what she found out, whether it's a Mercer analysis or whatever, Do you have any policy that sets out those requirements?
No. And the missing gap, I think, in the evidence yesterday was there's a position that this new policy and the procedure meet my expectations in relation to the guidelines we spoke about from the audit report into ARIC. And I want to make sure that we've closed off all those action items in the audit report, which talk to some of this at the next ARIC meeting. So it may be an opportunity to, if these are the only two documents that exist in the guidelines, to make sure that we have take this opportunity to include that rationale, because I think that rationale is important, not only for the reasons stated, but also the transparency discussion yesterday.
I might have misunderstood something you said yesterday. I had thought that there was a piece of work ongoing in the HR team about this very issue. Did I understand that correct?
That was my assumption.
I see.
So I rang Craig Nappy yesterday.
Yes.
And it's his position that the policy and the procedures was that work.
I see.
And it's now completed. That's not my assessment.
Okay.
And the reason it is still to this date, not my assessment, is I'm not yet satisfied that the change of the policy and the procedure meet the requirements of the audit findings.
Yes.
And what we presented to ARIC. Once that gap is closed, tick, but also now with these new suggestions, we'll make sure they incorporate them.
Your position as of today?
Dug deeper,
Yes,
and referred to other records
Yes.
of the workshop or whatever it was called.
yes.
What I'm asking you, did you do that?
No,
Other pieces of evidence that's come up in the inquiry, have you contacted other possible witnesses or witnesses about it?
I object. Some specificity needs to be given to that question. That's at large.
Well, I'm starting at large, and then depending on the answer, we'll confine it.
It might be the phrase possible witnesses that's problematic. Perhaps I think the topic's okay, but perhaps approached slightly differently.
Have you had conversations with other witnesses who have been called in these proceedings?
no.
I act for the council. He's the CEO of the council. We're in ground where there may be legally professional privilege information that in due course is disclosed. It's one thing to be dealing with a topic about witnesses. It's another to be dealing with the very general inquiries that have been made over the last 2 months. And
All right. Well, Mr. Breton answered no. So that
Yeah.
issue presumably doesn't arise.
What records were kept, if any, of that workshop?
I think the PA was there. There may have been the personal assistant was there. It wasn't a meeting, a formal meeting. It was, I'd hit the ground as the acting CEO, and it was the workshop really just to re-baseline our position and some of the things we needed to get across and some of my expectations.
Now,
Do you recall whether there was a discussion of the kind referred to by Mr. Mallard about somewhat of a SWOT analysis? So that's my word, not his, from my recollection.
Yeah, only
That workshop.
only that I absolutely believe it was Mr. Mallard's belief.
Had he that his belief that there was a risk to the organisation through instability in
Yes.
leadership?
And he thought he was a dead man walking as far as his role and position.
Why do you say that?
Oh, he'd mentioned it in passing when we had a general meeting or I was talking to him personally, he was concerned, and I think he'd mentioned it to his staff, and I think a number of staff had mentioned to me that he told them that, and that was quite disruptive because it was a little bit premature.
Did he tell you why he had that view?
No, he formed a view, and I think he thought that the whole role at City Futures perhaps wasn't valued and was in the target in the sites.
When he raised it with you, what did you say to him?
There's no plans at this stage.
And roughly when did that conversation occur?
I don't recall. Sometime last year.
Excuse me for a minute. Now,
What about the concept, leaving aside whether Mr. Mallard said it to you or not? The concept that a risk to the organisation is instability in leadership. Is that a proposition that
Very
you would
valid.
agree with?
Valid. Yeah.
Why?
We've had too much change, Commissioner. We need a period where the ELT and the CEO are a consistent team, and the staff are desirous of this. Change is always the issue, and it kind of presents in comments like, why would one do this if we're going to change again? And we need stability at Liverpool City Council. It's our fundamental requirement at this stage.
What sort of risks would present to the organisation in the next 12, 24, 36 months if that stability was lacking? Do you understand my question?
Yeah, well, kind of, Commissioner, because there's, if we're talking about the workforce or the governing body or the council collective.
Fair point. Break it down how you see fit, but
Yep.
If the stability that you've just told me is required within the organisation does not materialise and does not continue over the next 12 to 24 months, over the next 2-year period, what sort of risks would that pose to the organisation, in your view, in that period?
I think there's real financial risks in that the surety we have now around budget and forecasting and projects, these kind of things are big ticket items where if you don't have consistency in approach, you start to slip again and we're going to fall in exactly the same holes that we fell in the past. From a wellness perspective, I think there's a risk that psychosocially the change can contribute to a belief that workers' value is not known and understood. I think there's risks around probity and governance. That is, we have structures in place and the right people in the right positions in the right team at the moment to make sure our governance is sound. And I think the general activities of council, some of the innovations we're doing, if we don't have consistency in leadership in circular economy, for example, let's say Mr. Passley left, we'd have a deficit there we couldn't recover within 12 months. It's a big shoes to fill in that space. So there's a whole lot of reasons why now, when the team is settled, much more streamlined, much more transactional, that we have some surety in relation to a consistency of a lot of things.
Reputational risks?
It's so important now, reputation, and you heard my evidence about brand. I'm fascinated with this idea of brand, is that our brand needs to improve, and reputationally, we can't improve if the status quo remains of chaos and change and movement. We cannot move forward.
Following up for that, we're dealing with staff. It is important that you deal with staff with respect.
Absolutely.
As far as possible, communicating with them and discussing reason for a decision that you may make,
Absolutely.
getting input from them about decisions in particular that may affect them,
Yes.
and that may affect their reputation within the organisation.
Yes.
So, for example, if a project was going to be taken off a staff member, it would be appropriate to inform the staff member of your intention or your view that you were going to do that, but discuss with the staff member why and allow them to give feedback on whether that, in their view, that should be done or shouldn't be done.
Yes.
All right, there was Mr. Mallard also gave some evidence about some media when the new council was proclaimed, I think last year.
Yes.
Could we bring up some email exchange, which is lcc.023.001.0011? Yes, please. Maybe if we go to,
Thanks.
sorry, 1, 2. I think it's page 7. Just putting this in context, Mr. Breton, this is an email that you received from one of the councillors, Dr. Betty Green,
Yes.
dated the 5th of October of last year. And basically she's referring to some post-election announcements and communications which seemed to exclude Labor candidates and an independent candidate. I'm just putting it broadly, and concentrate on successful Liberal candidates.
Yes.
And you received that. Can I just look at the email above? You send it through to ELT, so that's through to the executive leadership team.
Yes.
So that's all the directors.
Yes.
And then if you go to the bottom of the page, the next page, Mr. Mallard responds with, I've asked comms to provide a response.
Yes.
And then if we're on to that next page, after that, you email him and also the rest of the executive leadership team. I've had 3 similar emails from persons other than the Liberals. You have a gripe, you complain that they titled you CEO, not acting CEO. I wouldn't mind understanding ASAP some answers to the 4 questions below. Now, by this time, it's clearly a matter of that has arisen within communications.
Yes.
Because if we go to the next page, which I think is page, page 5. Yes, there. This is the post on the Liverpool City Council, I think, Facebook page, which generated the complaints.
Yes.
With the various photos and the report. So at this point, it's a matter of an issue within the communications social media group. That's correct, isn't it?
Yes,
And that's why you're concentrating on communicating with Shane Mallard,
yes,
because they were under his jurisdictional responsibility.
yes.
Then if we go back to the next page, you can see that Mr. Mallard sends off, oh, there,
In
yes,
the chain, so we need to go up, or you're going back in time?
back in time, sorry. Have we got one from Mr. Mallard? Yes, at
Response to the Facebook
9:56
post?
a.m.
Okay, you've got that.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
You can see now Mr. Mallard's seeking answers from the staff that report to him.
Yes,
And then if you go up in the document, we've got one Tuesday, the 8th of October at 11:02. Yes, that one. We've got some answers from Mimi Curran.
yes,
And then if we look at the email above that, they're forwarded to you with more details below. Clearly, in a heightened political environment, we need to be more that's sensitive to perceptions. I'll reinforce that with the team.
yes,
And then your response on the next page to Mr. Mallard is, Shane, sorry, won't cut it at this time with 3 complaints already and code of conduct claims by Labor Party today. As of midday this date, no in capitals bold media whatsoever in any format without my approval until we get past the first council meeting next week. Happy to discuss personally, but we'll be advising ELT of the direction today. And then Mr. Mallard responds, note above. See that?
yes.
So my first question is, up until the first emails that you've sent out are going to not only Mr. Mallard, where clearly it was his responsibility for the council communications, but also to the executive leadership team. Why were they included when it wasn't within their responsibility?
No, it was absolutely deliberate by me.
Hmm?
And it was because that both Shane and the ELT were all intimately aware of last council's perception in relation to council within a council media. Everybody, the whole executive leadership team, have opportunities to start to work better for the whole governing body and distill or dilute this perception that we work for council within a council. The most vocal of those persons was Dr. Betty Green, who has brought council within a council up for the whole of her previous term. It was a very, very important message to share with every part of the ELT immediately.
It was a message that could have been communicated to other members of the ELT in another way than including them in this initial exchange of emails.
No,
Could easily have been done by a separate email to them, raising the issue and discussing it instead of including with emails to Mr. Mallard, which suggest that either he or his communications group is in trouble.
Object. That's not what it suggests.
Does suggest that, doesn't it, Mr. Breton?
no,
Truly. So your email at the 9:52 a.m. on Tuesday, the 8th of October, to Shane, copied into the ELT. I have 3 similar emails from persons other than Liberals, and then the media team incorrectly titled me CEO, etc. I would mind understanding in capitals ASAP some answers to the 4 questions below. The inference from that is that the communications team has done something wrong or something of concern. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
And it is appropriate way of dealing with staff that where you initially have an issue of concern or criticism with staff members, that should be raised with them separately to broadcasting it or including other members of the organisation in that communication. Do you agree with that?
No.
That's a fundamental part of performance management and the issue of psychosocial hazards, which are raised in the context of performance management, isn't it?
No.
You don't agree with that?
No, I don't agree. I don't agree.
I'll put this to you. You could have quite easily raised the issue with Mr. Mallard, communicated with him, got the response and how you were going to respond, and then framed a separate email around the same time along the lines, this is off the top of my head, you know we've got an issue in the past about council within council or exclusion of council members. This issue has arisen. You might have seen the social media. I would reinforce that we've got to be very aware of this. So it's completely separate from the criticisms that you are raising in the email personally addressed to Mr. Mallard.
I don't agree. What are the criticisms of Mr. Mallard in the email?
That where you're saying things like the media team incorrectly titled me CEO, attracting criticism, and I would mind, I think that's supposed to be I wouldn't mind, understanding ASAP some answers to the 4 questions below.
And that's criticism of an executive at 380 grand a year, a professional.
Sorry. All right. Mr. Parrish, yesterday we had an exchange about one of the documents relating to a summons that I issued yesterday.
Yes.
Has there been any update on your client's position as to whether that can be produced?
I quite frankly need 15 minutes to read the document. It was going to be one of the tasks I was going to do. We're
All right.
trying our best to make sure we have instructions. We just need to give some fun.
All right, that's fine. I just so you'll know before lunch.
About lunchtime.
All right. Okay. I just wouldn't want to let if it is the document that's going to be produced, I might want to ask Mr. Breton some questions about it. Thank you. All right. 12 o'clock. Thank you. Now, Mr. Breton, a couple of times this morning and in your evidence last week, you referred to the concept of council within a council.
Yes.
I think I know what that means, but just to make sure, what are you referring to when you use that phrase?
Yeah, right through last term, Commissioner, the Liberal Party had numbers, and the numbers were used on the floor, but they were also used in the overt presentation of how council behaved. So where we'd see is it appeared to be that not that there was caucusing, but it appeared to be that certain members of council, the whole governing body wasn't represented all the time at the right time when the governing body should have been lauded or recognised for being at events, etc. There was one classic example where somebody was photoshopped out of a photo. I can't remember the discrete details, but and there was just so many incidents where, particularly Dr. Betty Green, but Peter as well as an independent, Peter Harle, were so frustrated at this concept that the council within a council, that is the blue team, were making all the decisions and they really had no input. And it really come to a head at the term of the new council, where the numbers flipped 6-5 in a block, so 2 independents and 4 against the 5 Liberals, where the executive and I, as part of that, I kept on insisting in a number of forums that we make sure, if we're having a new start, that we remove this council within a council perception or reality and start acting for the governing body. And then on the very, very first occasion, we slip up on it and
You're referring to the issue raised by Dr. Green that you were shown earlier this morning.
correct. The very first occasion. And it's just not going to cut it. And of course, then Dr. Green basically saying, well, I thought we'd have changed, I thought we'd changed this. And clearly we hadn't. And I just wasn't going to, I wasn't going to cop it. We had to make that fundamental change. I have to have all of council officers working for all of the governing body, and I work for all of the governing body.
So the issues or the matters that arose to give rise to this perception of council within a council in the last term, I'm just confining this to the previous term at the moment, did that play out in council meetings to your observation?
Yes.
How?
Obviously, with the way mayoral minutes were used and just the voting patterns, whilst there was a whole, the percentages of matters resolved were quite high. You could see the frustrations from Caress Rhodes, who was an independent, Peter, but particularly Dr. Betty Green was always very, very frustrated on the floor about, I didn't have any notice about this. And it appeared that the governing body was quite split.
And we've had not quite 10 months or thereabouts of the current governing body. Has that changed, your observation?
The numbers forced the change. So we are starting to have, I've got to give credit to the 2 younger members, the 2 lawyers, Monaghan and Carnib, who are reading a lot more. And the reason I put that is because they're reading a lot more, they know the brief. And I think the debates are getting much better balanced. And I think we've returned to whatever normal is, some kind of normalcy around the way we debate matters. And I think it's different. I think it's different than last time.
Is the council within a council perception still present from your observation, from where you sit?
I've had nothing other than this incident from Betty, who was the predominant person that was concerned about this, because clearly the voting trends now would indicate to any observer that we've got past that.
And can't remember now if it was this week or last week, but you were shown changes to the media policy.
Yes.
And the like, which they've gone some way to helping that, in your view?
Yes, and I think it's my interpretation of 226C, Commissioner, and I know it's verbatim. So it is this difference in opinion between potentially what was applied before. It is the mayor is the spokesman only of the governing body and is the representative council, and then only to local priorities. So not about world hunger, not about the war in Iraq, not about environmental matters, right? Unless they're localised. And I think I've really taken a focus that if the mayor is the representative of the governing body, it must be a resolution of council or an agreed position of council. And only last week in relation, 2 weeks ago, in relation to 15th Avenue, I had a media release pulled because it said it was the position of council. It wasn't. It was Ned's Manoon's position. It was retracted and reintroduced to the media as the spokesperson. It was a local issue, 15th Avenue, but it wasn't the position of council. Certainly not the Labor members, where the $1 billion came from. So, these are the kind of examples where I'm kind of enforcing my interpretation of 226C, and that solves a lot of the issues around council and council.
You might have heard some evidence in the course of the hearings about what I'll describe, and someone will object if I misdescribe it, council business being conducted by text message or WhatsApp groups and the like.
Yes.
Are you familiar with that?
Yes, I heard all the evidence, and I went back and I looked at the Records Act, Commissioner.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
All right. Well, what do you consider?
We're just not compliant. And the real challenge now is again, the Records Act, 82, I think, maybe internet was in. But I don't think WhatsApp was in 82. This is the real challenge for this piece, is these are contemporary communication methods. And you could make an argument that they are appropriate in circumstance. The gap in the requirements of the Records Act, which does talk to digital records, the gap is, to what extent do we formalise that as a record when we, let's say the text comes on the Saturday morning and there's some discussion and it's clearly operational. To what extent do we formalise that as a record on the Monday? And then to what extent is the instrument used? Was it the personal phone or the council phone? I'd say it's a council record either way. And I would say the improvement that we would be seeking is some kind of direction in relation to compliance to the Records Act as it relates to social media or WhatsApp or short message service, where that subject is mandated as a record. Because I think that there's real dangers in not doing that.
What about looking at a policy as to the extent to which text messages and WhatsApp should be used at all to conduct council business, as opposed to, for example, a message platform on a council system like MS Teams, or there'll be a variety of them. But do you understand the distinction I'm drawing?
I'm split. I understand the concept of 80 style, but we've got there's so much contemporary value, and I'm thinking ahead towards what artificial intelligence does to this stuff as well, is that if we're prescriptive in a policy, it may be counterproductive to actually getting the right methodology right. I think whatever the technology, and it's moving so quick, is that what then becomes a record. So if I put an artificial intelligent agent in charge of first line customer service and they say something which becomes a customer record, I'm thinking, well, how do I prosecute that? So I'm trying to think of the right.
You're probably about 5 steps ahead of where I am.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to think of how it's formalised.
So just going back though, I take it from your answers that you would agree that this is an issue that needs to be looked at.
Yes.
And appropriate policies developed as to whether or not private council phones should be used to conduct business by text, WhatsApp, insert any other online messaging channel, firstly, and if so, how those records are maintained to meet the council's obligations.
And the Records Act. Yes.
I've had some evidence of occasions where a councillor might raise an issue on behalf of a constituent and then seek to have a meeting with a member of staff and that constituent to progress the issue. Did you hear some of that evidence?
I did.
Are you aware of things like that happening?
Yes.
Do you have a view as to whether that's appropriate or not?
There's some ambiguity around the civic duty and civic purpose, and these are elected councillors. They are elected predominantly, notwithstanding the person they're representing may have given their vote. They're elected to. How do you raise the issue in the right forum with appropriate separation is the key, and I think the real tricky here is absolute transparency and maybe even recording said meetings, like video recording the meeting with consent.
And what about ensuring that a staff member is an appropriate level within the organisation to be having such a meeting?
Yeah, I think the council and staff interaction policy takes that up a level, even to a permissions level, where there would be trusted professionals that I would be comfortable with having meetings with constituents or other government officials on subject matter expertise areas which I have no knowledge of. That's an important part. Where a constituent has a relationship with a councillor and that relationship alone benefits an introduction to a staff member ad hoc or without notice, that's a concern.
Does the policy deal with this scenario at the moment? Do you know?
It does not.
Should it? Or should a policy deal with this?
It has to be that policy, yeah.
One of the issues that I raised with another witness was the need to ensure that meetings of that kind don't tend towards influencing a staff member's decision and separating operational and the councillor's representative roles.
A difficult piece because we're dealing with the perception of the individual.
Quite.
So if the mayor or a senior or any councillor brings a constituent in and is in situ in that meeting, the general perception is that there's not a desire to solve, but there's somebody there that by their very presence may influence an individual.
And would ensuring that the staff member who attends that meeting is of a sufficient seniority to be able to deal with that scenario one way to manage that perception?
Yeah, again, in the SME example, you'd have the deep SME plus their director. That might sort it.
You referred in your evidence last week to a new policy dealing with all matters CEO, I think you described it as.
Yes, yes.
What was the genesis of that? Do you know?
I can opine.
Were you involved in the process?
I reviewed the document. Clearly this is cleaning up from our history and formalising things from our history that need to be we need more clarity. There's nothing in the document that excites me or worries me, Commissioner.
You gave some evidence that you have stopped utilising temporary appointments
Yes.
in the organisation.
Yes.
Why did you take that step?
Probably the same reason as my last answer. There's just, if I look retrospectively at the way it was applied, I'm not comfortable. We've done that the best of our ability. There may be always a need to get somebody in quick who's a SME or a bespoke to an issue planner. But generally now, if we go back even to the stability position, is that we're in a position now where we don't need to do that. We have a stable team, and I don't envisage these kind of circumstances happening again.
When you said, looking back, you weren't comfortable that the temporary appointments had been used, I think you said to the best of your ability or something like that. What's driving that observation?
I don't think it was all too rushed. I just don't think it was great business behaviour as leaders. I just think, the building's not going to fall down. The urgency of some of these things, or the methodology. There's a number of examples, but you'd have to ask, in retrospect, and quite rightly, well, why didn't you just go to market? What was the absolute urgency? And then the urgency then derives the perception. And Ms. Goddard talks about perception of the staff and how we can get that. Absolutely. I mean, this is, it didn't look as clean as it probably could have. We just could have gone to market on a number of those roles which weren't mission critical.
Consistent with perhaps some of your earlier answers, Mr. Nadan gave some evidence that instability was a risk to the future financial performance of the council.
Yes.
Would you agree with him?
100%.
And how would you describe the current financial position as we're sitting here today of the council?
There's nothing in the purse. We've got a bit of cash back in our unrestricted funds. We are in view of a very, very tight budget position for a few years. A number of reasons for that. Predominantly our debt position, but also I don't think in the previous term of local government or council that we gave enough information enough times to the councillors. Now we literally saturate them with getting them involved in the financial decisions. That is, what we used to do is really retrospectively report in 4 quarters. This is what it is, and that's what it'll be. And of course, we also had decisions made quite ad hoc at those times about, well, put this in or put that in.
Well, that's you've anticipated my next question. Given what you've described as not looming, in forecast over the next few years, and it's in the long-term financial plan, it would be important for the council to have at their disposal as much information as possible, so that they can assess when making decisions about things which are not in the works program or not in the integrated planning and reporting framework, what impact that would have on the financial position going forward. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and now we're really saturating them with that information at every single opportunity. We have a monthly finance position between me, Vishwa, and Farouk Portelli, where we just look at the raw numbers, and then we, in the governance meetings or in any other forum we incorporate this into the long-term financial plan, because we've got some speed humps in a couple of years.
The flip side to that would be the governing body taking those matters into consideration when passing resolutions to move forward with new initiatives that aren't budgeted or in the works program or the integrated planning and reporting framework. Would you agree with that?
Interesting. Yes, I would agree. I've got an interesting little trigger, because if they resolve to spend money, they have to tell me where the budget is.
Yes.
And of course, the next question from the floor is, do we have any money in that budget?
Yes.
So that's an easy answer. I think to their credit, we had a really honest discussion forming this year's budget. I think it was 800 surplus down to about 600 surplus. That's 100,000. And to a person, Commissioner, they understood the they understood the constraints we're at the moment. And I haven't seen too much come up from an aspirational position, which was the case before. We want this or we want that. If budget options are coming up, they're of in the tens of thousands and they're validated by assumption, but they still need to have a budget.
I'm thinking of the example that Councillor Sisting took you to that arose in the last term of when the budget came up for vote in council, there were various amendments moved from the floor, which my recollection of your evidence, and correct me if I'm wrong, was that you hadn't had notice of prior to that being moved from the floor. Was that right?
Yeah, colloquially, that kills us when that happens.
Has something like, I know that was last year's budget, so
yeah,
did that happen? Nothing like that happened again for the?
No, it didn't, and that's it. To their credit, I think we took a budget position. I mean, there's a lot of discussion about the surplus deficit on 3 Hoxton Park Road. That was the big story for the councillors, right? And I was never a fan of selling that property. I thought if you go back to Project 26, you can see why.
Yeah.
But I think this year, I think to their collective credit, a much more balanced and reasonable approach to the budget.
What do you mean by balanced and reasonable?
Well, no aspirational last minute requests. If there are requests, they're for things that are for the collective opinion of the governing body, not maybe location specific, which may infer something or otherwise.
Can document LCC.001.003.0389 be brought up? Wrong document number? Might have. Right, so this is the Code of Meeting Practice, 25 May 2022. I think it's under review based on what I've seen in some recent council papers.
Yes.
And it might need to be under further review than what happened last
It
Friday.
will be after last Friday, yes.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll pass over that for the moment. Can we go, please? Page 20. And scroll down for me. Keep going, keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. All right. Can you you're familiar with these provisions, I take it?
Yes.
And I'm just at the moment wanting to focus on what starts at clause 10.20 and the procedures around debates. You're familiar with those? And if any time you need to look at the document, do let me know.
Yeah, generally.
I'm just picking up on one of your observations from the other day about time in meetings.
Yes.
To your observation, are these procedures followed in debate? Consistently, I should say.
I don't think it's, from my understanding, it's 2 and 2 on either side.
And then, and then someone can move that the motion be put.
And typically there's somebody will remonstrate on the floor that we've had 2 and 2. So sometimes it goes past. I think the mayor's taken a position that everybody should have a say on everything. And I think that's a position that has been, followed, particularly in the last term of council. I think, again, the 2 young lawyers are very strict in reminding the mayor that 2 and 2. And that, and I think my evidence was in and around kind of what appeared was inconsequential matters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's what driving my question.
Yeah.
That if one looks at that, it's not easy to see how one gets to an hour plus on a single matter.
Yeah, again, with Sandwich-gate or the sandwiches and the wrap issue, it was actually 14 minutes. There was something else in that
Oh, I see.
in that council work. But Commissioner, in the two meetings in February, there were 18 motions passed in the last half hour of those meetings at 1 minute and 67 seconds each, and Sandwich-gate took 14 minutes. So 18 in the last 30 minutes of both of those meetings, and that trend has continued. And I took the inquiry to that trend about how we rushed things through at the back end.
All right. So from that, do you think there could be some enhancements to the efficiency of the conduct of meetings going forward?
Well, it's going to take the intent of the governing body.
Yes.
Yes.
But leaving that part of it.
Am I optimistic?
Well, no. Leaving, one can't control others.
Yes. Yeah.
But you've got the best seat in the house, as it were, in
Yes.
council meetings.
Yes.
Some in the last term, some in this term. Just dealing with the current term for the moment.
Yes.
Do you think that the conduct of meetings could be improved such that you don't have things going through in 90 seconds that could, on one view, be given a little bit more time?
Yes.
And, all right. Yes. That exhausts my curiosity for the moment. Mr. Parrish?
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Breton, there's been a convention of the council asking questions, introducing themselves. Do I need to introduce myself to you at this point?
No.
That's my first question. You were taking some evidence on Wednesday last week, which was a schedule about complaints. I'm not going to take you to that document. That was in closed session. But do you remember that you were referred to as a complainant in some of those schedules?
I was.
And if I could just show you a document. It is INQ.001.001.1135. See, that's the Code of Conduct Procedures that was adopted in August 2022. Do you see that?
Yes.
We go through to page 9. We go down a tiny bit to 4.10. Can you have a quick read of that?
Yes.
Does that refresh your memory as to why you might have been included as the complainant on that schedule?
Yes.
And is that the reason that you were noted as the complainant on some of them, insofar as you were the person who had initiated the process for the consideration of the matter?
Yes.
Under the procedure. You may recall there was some evidence last Friday, again in closed transcript, so I won't refer to it in too much detail at this stage, but it related to correspondence that you had with the OLG at the start of this year, and section 440H of the Local Government Act. Do you remember that passage of evidence?
Yes.
We could bring up 440H to the screen. It's INQ.012.001.0005. Thank you. You remember in subsection 2, there were 5 circumstances in which the departmental chief executive might conduct an investigation. You want to refresh your memory there at the bottom of that page, A, B, C, and I think D and E go over the page.
Let me scroll down a bit. Do you know? Yes.
At the start of this year, you exercised subsection B to seek an investigation under that section. Is that correct?
Correct.
You recall that one of the responses you received is that the OLG might take action if it were by way of a resolution of council.
Yes.
As you understand it, is there a hierarchy in the 5 circumstances set out in subsection 2?
No.
If you're wrong about that understanding and there is some form of hierarchy, would you be assisted if it was clear that there was no such hierarchy and that a general manager's referral to the OLG was on par with a resolution of council?
Yes.
And if I can take you to one of those letters, it's the 7th of April 25 letter, that's OLG.009.001.0010. Yes, thank you. We go to, sorry, I'll just establish first, that's the 7 April 20.
Sorry, Commissioner, can I just raise something? Can that be taken down? My understanding is that code of conduct complaints are being dealt with. The questions can be dealt with in the open. I'm just not sure whether that document should be on the live stream.
I'm very sorry. There is reference to my learned friend's client in it, and it was shown previously in closed session. It's page 3 specifically that I want to.
Right, I'll just show it in the room. See where we go.
We go to page 3. Can I just take you to the second paragraph there? First sentence, it says, regarding your request to enter into a special complaints management arrangement, this arrangement is designed to assist councils where they receive large numbers of complaints from one or several members of the public that otherwise lack merit and that place an undue and disproportionate cost burden on the council's administration of its code of conduct or impedes or disrupts its administration. Is that your understanding of how section 440H works, that it is designed to assist councils where they receive a large number of complaints?
Find in the Act.
If you're wrong about that, would you be assisted by section 440H clarifying, firstly, that it is only members of the public who have complaints that might initiate this procedure, or that it is extended to include councillors or staff?
Yes.
It also refers to section 440H not being the appropriate avenue for internal political conflict. That's a few sentences further down, if you want to refresh yourself on that.
Yes, I know it intimately.
Is that your understanding of how section 440H works?
Makes no reference in the Act.
Is
Is there a
that,
distinction between a special complaints management arrangement and a misconduct investigation in 440H?
well, maybe I'll put it this way. What do you understand the OLG was referring to when they were referring to the it not being designed to outsource responsibility to deal with code of conduct complaints in respect of internal political conflict? What part of the Act did you understand that was referring to?
440H.
was it section 2, subsection B, under which you were using in that respect?
Correct. I just took umbrage at the whole paragraph is factually incorrect. And basically what they were telling me at that stage is because of the volume, right, we're not going to do it to, you can't outsource responsibility. We were never asked to do that. And then the word particularly has no basis in this document. They're making, or the author's making a determination that not only we're not going to do it, particularly we're not going to do it where it's about internal political conflict. Well, there's nothing that can be relied on by the author to make that comment in either the Act or the complaints management arrangements.
Slightly different to my question. There's if 440H could be brought up again. See section 2B there.
Yes.
Refers to an allegation of misconduct by a councillor to the departmental chief executive. Do you see that?
Yes.
Was it your understanding to the reference to the avenue of political internal conflict that was referring to the specific instance of misconduct, or the general referral powers that you had under 2B, or neither?
I think the general referral powers, I just don't think the author can demarcate what that misconduct contains and then use that as rationale for not proceeding.
I'm now going to take you to another document, Commissioner. This is the model code of meeting practice that was published by the OLG on Friday, and it has it is in the system.
Right.
It's LCC.030.004.0001, hopefully. Yes, thank you. It makes a few changes to the code of meeting practice that we've taken to you previously, but I'm going to take you to a few specific matters. Firstly, clause 3.31. No, I think it's 3.31. Yes. This prohibits pre-meeting briefing sessions. You'll see that.
Yes.
Have you read this before today?
I've given it a cursory glance after a number of excited texts last Friday.
From your point of view as CEO of Liverpool City Council, is the prohibition of pre-meeting briefing sessions likely to do anything in respect of what you have to deal with presently with the large number of complaints under the Code of Conduct?
I don't think this will make a material difference to the way Liverpool operates, this 3.31. Basically, everything has to be a meeting now rather than a briefing session.
I'll ask it a slightly different way, which may be clearer for the Commissioner. In your experience, did many of the Code of Conduct complaints that you've been dealing with recently come out of briefing sessions?
Some did, yes.
Some did. Thank you. If I could then take you to clause 5.36. Thank you. That requires that meetings be live streamed. You'll see that.
Yes,
Same question as before. I presume you've given this a cursory glance also.
yes.
Am I correct in thinking that this reflects the existing regulation 236 that requires meetings to be live streamed?
Yes.
In your experience and what you've had to deal with in respect of the code of conduct complaints you've been dealing with recently, is the live streaming of meetings likely to have any effect on the volume or complexity of what you've had to deal with?
It may. It may moderate potential behaviours or issues of councillors, because obviously it's recorded. These meetings are recorded.
Were they recorded previously in Liverpool City Council?
Not committee meetings.
I see.
So this extends all committee meetings now, which there's a additional cost burden here, but yeah, the addition of the committee is the main change.
So the governance committee meetings will now have to be dealt with in accordance with 5.337.
The governance meetings were always, Commissioner. Governance was. Other committee meetings weren't.
And is it the current practice of the council to keep recordings of those meetings when they shift into private session? Even though those aren't made public, but does the recording continue? Do you know?
Yeah, I think it's exactly the same as the process here.
Or is that a yes?
Yes, I believe that's the case, that the recording moves on, but it's not live streamed.
You were asked some questions that you might recall last Tuesday about mayoral minutes. Do you recall the broad thrust of that question?
Yes.
Specifically, Senior Counsel assisting asked you whether the mayoral minutes gave you some notification beforehand, and you said many times not, and then you said the challenge, it's been a challenge for the behaviour of the council since you've been at council. Do you remember that?
Correct.
And Senior Counsel assisting then said, and is that issue because at times more substantive or complex matters are being raised at the floor of the council without an adequate notification to other councillors? Do you recall that?
Yes.
I think you said correct. You remember that?
Yes.
And for today's transcript, that's transcript 1696. Can I take you to clause 9? 9.7 specifically. Again, you've had a cursory glance at that, or perhaps?
No, I know this one intimately.
Am I correct in thinking that this removes some of the caveats or guardrails that existed in the previous code?
All of them, doesn't it?
Trying to be diplomatic.
Yeah, yes, it does. And also it doesn't require a seconder, and it's carte blanche for mayoral minutes.
Can I just pause you and ask you in slightly more detail, perhaps? You referred in your answer to Senior Counsel assisting to it being a challenge. Is this going to make the challenge easier or harder the way this is currently drafted?
Harder.
And in what ways?
Well, all the challenges that were described in my evidence for council assisting are now represented. So there's no opportunity to solve the challenges inherent in the way mayoral minutes were applied, because they aren't requirements anymore. So the mayor can put up any mayoral minute, doesn't need a seconder, and it'll also at any period, so it takes precedence over any part of the agenda. So any period due in the agenda, a mayoral minute can pop up and it needs debate.
I don't think they ever needed a seconder, but did the challenges that Mr. Parish has taken you to and were discussed with council assisting last week, were they challenges in the immediate past term of council, the current term of council, or both? Or if there's a difference between the two, what's the difference?
Both, but the numbers now have reduced to almost nothing. So what I was saying, there was plenty in the last term of council, less so in the first couple of meetings, to the point now where I don't even think we had one in August.
So just so I'm clear, there's been a
reduction.
reduction in their use?
Yes, in the terms that caused the challenge.
No further question.
Yes.
No, I'm very happy to start for 10 minutes. I think we have about 20 minutes.
Let's make a start and we'll
Yes, see how we go.
Yes, and if there's a convenient point to stop, you just let me know.
Mr. Breton, I'm going
Sorry,
to.
Palmer, we'll just get a microphone.
Oh yeah, of course. Thank you. Thank you so much. Mr. Breton, I am going to depart from my friend and introduce myself. I am Claire Palmer, Junior Counsel for Mr. Manoon, and my leader, Miss Richardson, has been sitting in this spot the previous days on which he gave evidence.
Yes.
But we both represent the Mayor. One of the issues which you addressed yesterday in your evidence was the requests for information that come from councillors. And you had indicated in your evidence yesterday that in recent months, a significant amount of time has been taken up responding to those requests.
Yes.
And you also indicated in your evidence yesterday that in light of this increase in the number of complaints, you have now adopted a position that council will not respond to a request if you consider that it does not have a contemporary forensic purpose.
Yes.
It might be convenient to take you to the transcript from yesterday. It's page 1869.
One eight.
1869, thank you,
69.
Commissioner. Yeah. You can have this up on the live stream. And Mr. Breton, you indicate that in terms of numbers, at line 28 of that page, you say 120, 140 per year.
Loose numbers, yes.
Loose numbers. And then at line 40, a bit further down, you indicate that about 90% of those complaints come from a single author.
Yes.
You have described those requests in your evidence as nonsense. And I'll take you to line 41, going over to 42. When nonsense presented, I just had to put a control in because it was an inappropriate use of staff time, in my opinion. And then above that at line 12, you also use that word nonsense. I needed to stop the nonsense.
Yes.
Would you please explain to the Commission a bit more what you mean by the nonsense?
Look, some of the requests were by description nonsensical. They didn't, in my opinion, they were political. They were interrogating details that weren't for a civic purpose. They were overly officious in the manner of which, if it was refused, I heard some evidence today in relation to the continuance of some of this stuff, and I had to put a stop to it because of the very rationale explained. It just took too long time, and it did not satisfy the criteria.
Thank you. And I think you also indicated that on page 1877 of the transcript, you say you had staff dealing with these requests 100% of the time.
Yes.
How many staff, in your view, were affected by the volume of requests?
Affected, you'd have to say the 8 or so staff in executive services all were affected.
Yes.
But it's right from receipt through to its direction. So they could go across. I can't really give a quantum because they'd come in through executive service and maybe fed out for information. And you might have 3 staff working on the same request because it had different specifications therein.
At different points in the process.
Yes.
And is it, you might not be able to do this, but can you give the Commission an estimate of the time that was confused, or give the Commission an indication of the time that was involved in the processing of these requests before you brought in the new policy?
And yes, well, look, it's difficult, again, for specific time, but some of these requests could take a person several days. One person several days, there's an example. The one request, there was a request for 12 years of data on something. I think it may have been ultimately refused, but I think we put a projection on kind of $10,000 to $20,000 on that, and for 3 or 4 weeks. Right. And I think that when the response went back to the councillor, it actually detailed the fact that it would take 2 or 3 weeks to do.
Right.
So these are the ones where we had to look after the staff.
The estimate of cost, is that a breakdown of staff time?
Staff time, just pure hours. There are some, unfortunately, we haven't digitalised our records. So on some of these occasions, we have to pull a record box out at $60 a box. So there's other costs in relation to that.
Thank you. And does this also mean that those staff who were working on those matters were diverted from other tasks they would ordinarily do?
Yes.
And what is the kind of work that they would ordinarily do? Would they be processing other requests, or did it extend more broadly than that?
Typically in that area, they're doing executive services work, which is preparing for the meetings and the committees and the paperwork and the printing of documents and the delivery of papers and the general business of the council governing body.
Assisting with crafting notices of motion and the like.
Yes. Yep.
And how do you consider it affected the overall operation of the council?
Well, I think it had a bit of a deleterious effect on the stress and the workload of the people directly involved. And that's why I put in my rationale around forensic purpose, and just tried to, again, re-baseline our requirement. Across the 937 staff, I don't know if everybody's, in fact, I'm clear that many aren't affected by this, but it's the people who are directly affected, which was my concern.
Who bear that burden? Yeah,
and again, a lot of the detail, and the staff were concerned about this. When we gave that detail back, it'd appear in social media instantly.
Much of the information that was coming out.
So and then it formed. You could see that data or the information may then form a future nom or a future position or a future comment, and it was that was problematic.
Yes. Can you tell the Commission a little bit more about why you considered that to be problematic?
Well, I think the staff then took the position that who are we working for? I mean, if it's not for that goes to my point about civic purpose. If the data presented then finds itself on radio programs and Facebook sites, the staff themselves are in a position where they would be questioning why they're doing the work.
And there's also arguably a concern, isn't there, about how that information is presented when it's on social media. The council loses control of how it's presented, even though it's tried to, in best efforts, give data.
Yes, almost everything we present leaks.
You use of the information gained through a councillor request to inform a notice of motion or debate, do you see a problem with that?
No.
That's an appropriate purpose?
Yes.
Sorry, I just thought you referred to norms in your answer, and I was just
I did
wanting to
not in
clarify.
that context, because you used the word appropriate,
Yes.
and I think that's, but what the general theme, so let's say we'd done 3 weeks worth of work to discover some obscure issue that then found itself onto the floor of council. I think we had some examples of that, and that's not an appropriate use of the executive to design a nom.
Why?
Oh, excuse me.
Sorry.
Sorry, because the information was typically dated or not relevant to their current civic purpose.
Yes.
Mr. Breton, as you've indicated, you said that the bulk of requests came from one person, about 90%, and you've also indicated that those requests have expanded exponentially since the last council election. You gave that evidence yesterday at page 1,877. Who is the person, I don't believe you indicated yesterday in your evidence, who is the person who has made all of these complaints? Who does the 90% of complaints refer to?
Sorry, you said complaints.
Right. Thank you, Commissioner. You're on point then.
Is that the point?
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah, a couple of times.
Excuse me.
That's all right. So just so we're clear,
Yes.
because it has, I think you've said complaints in the past. You're talking about.
Excuse me.
That's okay.
I should, that
I just want to be clear, they're requests for information and assistance. Yeah.
Yes, Commissioner, excuse me. In terms of the bulk of the requests for information, the 90%, from whom have these requests come from?
Can I just caveat my response by 90% of a loose number? So I don't want to be held to that. I know there's a lot.
Yes.
Okay.
You can rephrase it as the bulk if that makes you more comfortable.
No, I'm happy with 90%. I just don't know my 120 to 140 number. It's in the vicinity. Councillor Rostevsky.
Thank you. Convenient, Commissioner, that might be
Yes.
a convenient moment to stop.
Would anyone object if I suggested we start a little earlier before 2 to try and keep Mr. Breton rolling? All right, we'll come back at 1:45. Thank you. Oh, yes.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Breton, I just have 2 more topics to ask you things about, and the first one connects to a discussion of a response that you had prepared in relation to the interim report.
Yes.
And you had mentioned yesterday, and this is at transcript page 1861, you had indicated yesterday that once that interim report was prepared and then published, you had subsequently prepared a document in response.
Yes.
And that was after, as you would be aware, in May and June, various councillors, the mayor, officers and employees of the council had been interviewed by investigators. And you're also aware that the interim report was finalised on 11th of July 2024 and then published on the website of the Office of Local Government on 18th of July 2024.
Yes.
And you'd also be aware that the interim report made serious allegations against persons who were identified by name or position.
It does.
And you'll similarly be aware that several of those individuals had no prior notification of the adverse material. And you'll also be aware that the individuals referred to were not afforded an opportunity to respond to those allegations before publication.
Yes.
And you're aware that at least 10 individuals were affected in this way.
Yes.
And you're also aware that proceedings were subsequently commenced by the council in the Land and Environment Court.
Yes.
And that in the context of those proceedings, there was a concession by the Office of Local Government that there had been a failure to provide procedural fairness when the interim report was published.
Yes.
Was there concession by someone?
Excuse me, it was a second respondent. I did think it was I might just say the second respondents in those proceedings, in case I'm
The government
incorrect.
Respondents.
Yes, one of the government respondents. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Commissioner.
I just not sure the office was technically a party.
Yes.
I think it was the secretary, the deputy secretary.
And the Minister may have been the
Maybe.
first respondent.
Yes. I think
Yes,
that's
no,
right. So anyway, I think it's clear enough.
thank you. And similarly, you may be aware that the court agreed that the publication of the interim report and the associated media release constituted a denial of procedural fairness to those identified and identifiable individuals.
Yes.
So as you indicated in your evidence yesterday, you prepared a document in response to that interim report. Can you tell the Commission what drove your motivation to respond?
Yes, a couple of things. A strong desire to inform of those allegations of denial of procedural fairness, a strong position to support my staff who were caught up in that, and a belief that the interim report, a report without precedent, was of such poor quality that the minister could not rely on the report.
Yes.
And using my experience as an investigator, I set out a number of positions in relation to why the report was fundamentally flawed.
Yes.
That was my intent.
I'm going to ask you a question, and if possible, could you please answer it without naming specific individuals? Do you have knowledge of the impact that the publication of this report had on particular individuals working within the council?
Yes.
And again, without naming or identifying particular individuals, could you give the Commission a sense of the impact of the publication of that report upon the individual people involved?
In general, Commissioner, the people involved or named were gutted. They could not believe not only that they were named in a report, their opportunity retrospectively to address the concerns therein were non-existent. Their names, their families had been very upset, and people had told me that it's caused anguish and concern with their family members, their reputation, and it really affected them personally. That was the general feedback. And then I guess it was just absolute disbelief that in a number of occasions, the individuals claimed this, if only they had made a cursory inquiry, then I would not have been named. So I think that's collectively, that was what really, really upset them the most.
Yes.
And these are just workers. They're just workers who were doing their job. And some of the inclusions and the juxtapositions into certain areas of the report were really unfair,
Yes.
improper, and I thought it was the worst investigation report that I, as a former detective chief inspector, have ever read in my life.
Yes. And beyond the impact on those individuals, did the publication have a broader impact on the organisation?
Yes, I mean it just set us back again. Months and years in relation to repairing the brand. It's another thing Liverpool's council's going through, and then all the naysayers just piled on and who love chaos, and just use the report as an instrument for further chaos and disruption, and it was very, very difficult time.
And you've talked about the impact on the council's reputation and the council's brand. Beyond that, did it affect council's functioning?
It Look, again, I mean, I remember the two, I think Peter Hale and Betty Green, or Cress Rhodes, two of the three, called for the immediate suspension of council, the governing body. I mean, there was a bit of, I think, relief that the report was out, and their perception of what needed to be uncovered was uncovered, and let the 430 proceed, and because the election wasn't going to proceed. That was the action.
Yes.
Yep. And we're given 7 days notice to show cause. So I think as the governing body was split on that, we still acted as a council to whatever success factor you measure that by in that term. We still acted as a council. There were still resolutions in the time. We still come to unanimous decisions in the time of a high percentage. So it still functioned, but it was hanging over us, and it still does today, and will be until someone can tell me my repeated request is, when does the 430 expire?
Right.
Because right at the moment, my staff have the 430 with there's no opportunity. The 438 does not expunge the 430.
Right.
So what we have the circumstance where this is the pinnacle of the end for most people. So the 438 is the panacea to all our problems in some people's mind.
Right.
But what we're going to come out of that 438 tunnel with a 430 on foot.
Right. There's still a perception, at least, that there is.
Well, the law mandates it. It's not finished.
Yes.
There must be a final report to a 430. And so the ambiguity will remain even after this process, because of this this issue with the 430 being on foot.
So the legal uncertainty in connection to.
And all the people involved, to your start of the question,
Yes.
are tainted.
Yes.
It reminds me of ICAC in the early days, where you could never clear a finding. It was impossible. And it's a difficult personal position for them.
Yes. Just moving to a final topic now, Mr. Breton, and it's in relation to some evidence that you gave last Wednesday, just about in relation to it's a practice and procedure issue about setting the agenda for council meetings. And I might just for ease, if it's possible to bring up, I can start asking my questions beforehand, but I might ask that the transcript is brought up. It was in a private session, so it shouldn't be privately streamed, even though I don't think this issue in particular is very sensitive.
Sorry, which date?
It's on the date of Wednesday, 27th of August,
27.
and the relevant page is 62.
62, the private transcript. Is that the only page? I can just
Just 62 and 63, Commissioner.
just hand it to Mr. Brett. Might be quicker.
Oh, thank you.
Unless if anyone needs it in the room, sing out. But
Yes.
It's 62 and 63, yes. It's not as exciting. Wish it was. This is just in relation to who in the council is responsible for setting the agenda. And I know you gave some evidence in that private session that it's the mayor's meeting, it's the mayor's agenda. And I appreciate to a certain extent that is true when the mayor does have the ability to bring matters into the agenda via a notice of motion or a mayoral minute. But I just wanted to clarify that as CEO, it's your responsibility to prep for you or people within your department to prepare the business papers and agenda for the council meeting.
Correct. And the structure and sequence, yes.
Yes, and that's consistent with your functions under Section 335 of the Local Government Act.
Yes.
Just being responsible for the day-to-day operations.
Yes.
And similarly, that's consistent with the Code of Meeting Practice Policy, which we've seen up on the screen today. I'm very happy to take you to it, but
I concur with that.
yes, thank you. And as I mentioned before, councillors, including the mayor, can of course give notices of motion that then must be included by you, correct?
Yes.
And similarly, as we've discussed, the mayor has a special ability to bring forward a mayoral minute at a meeting, which must then be put forward counselling. So that's correct
Correct.
as well. And but leaving those exceptions aside, the agenda of an ordinary council meeting is compiled and issued by you, not the mayor. That's correct, isn't it?
Correct.
And that evidence given on the Wednesday, the 27th of August, that it's the mayor's meeting should just be qualified by the evidence you've given today.
It's qualified by the evidence I've given today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Breton. I have no further questions, Commissioner.
Was the context in which you gave the evidence that it's the mayor's meeting so referable to the fact that once the meeting starts, how it proceeds is in the hands of the councillors
Yes.
and the councillors' ability to, for example, bring matters forward or defer to the end of the meeting? Is that the sort of thing you had in mind?
Yes, that was coming to mind.
Yes. Thank you. Yes. Milton Jewell?
I just need a minute for some reshuffling.
Yes.
Mr. Breton, you've been following this inquiry pretty closely, haven't you?
Yes.
You gave evidence that you watched every minute.
Yes.
And does that mean that you're also aware that documents are uploaded into what's called IQ for the purposes of the hearings?
I understand that's the process. Yes.
And do you get an opportunity generally to review and follow the documents as they're being uploaded?
I've had some opportunity to review them. Yes, through my team, but I haven't looked at everyone.
Now, you gave some evidence to the Commissioner in relation to councillor training and how that training is recorded in council records. You recall that?
Yes.
And you gave some evidence about the spreadsheet, which was called the Councillor Personal Development and Training Courses for Councillors 2024. And that document is LCC.014.002.0544. If that could be brought up, please.
Document on the live.
Yes, please. Did you prepare that spreadsheet?
No.
But nevertheless, you were asked some questions about the table and what particular things in the table meant.
Yes.
Now, I think it's because it's in PDF form on the screen, but it's actually an Excel spreadsheet, and there's a final tab called Summary Sheet, which you'll find on page 5. And you can see that you were asked some questions about the yellow boxes that you can see with the words non-attendance in the box.
Yes.
Do you recall giving that evidence?
I remember it very well.
Now, Commissioner, just for the transcript and for your benefit, that evidence is at transcript T1739, lines 11 to 24. And if you need the transcript brought up at any time, please let me know. But the evidence that you gave there, Senior Counsel Assisting asked, the yellow designated with the words non-attendance appears to be where there was a requirement or expectation of attendance. And you give the following evidence. My assumption here is that the yellow non-attendance indicates a desire or an intent to attend, and they did not. You recall giving that evidence?
Yes.
And you then went on to say, so the white is, I'm not interested and you weren't expected to go. And the other ones was, you said you were going to go and you didn't. All that evidence?
Yes.
You were also asked some questions about why in relation to the 2025 summary page, which you'll see at 3. There were sometimes 2 columns with councillor names in it. See that?
Take the top.
Sorry, do you recall that you were asked about that? Why
Yes.
there were sometimes 2 columns
Yes.
with councillor names in it? And if you can please scroll up on that PDF document. Now, what's happened is that the headings from the Excel spreadsheet have not formed. Is it possible to bring up the native Excel form of that spreadsheet, please, Associate? Now, if you can go to the 2025 tab, please. And you will see there, if you look at what is column E,
Yes,
you'll see the heading for that column is attendees, councillors.
yes.
And if you have two columns over, column G, you'll see that's headed apologies.
G's apologies, and then in H is a title apologies. Yeah.
Correct. And if you just scroll up a bit, please, associate. And if you can go to the entry, which is at row 102. You'll see here, this is the media training session, which was scheduled to take place on the 25th of March.
Yes,
And you'll see there's attendee councillors and some names,
yes,
and apologies councillors and some names.
yes,
And associate, if you can please hit the summary sheet tab again. And if you can locate the councillor onboarding media training in row 19. You will see non-attendance, and if you can scroll up to the top to see who sits in B and C,
yes,
you'll see it's Mayor Ned Manu and Deputy Mayor Peter Hahn. If you can go back to the 2025 tab, you'll see there that Mayor Manu and Deputy Mayor Hahn were recorded as apologies.
yes,
So you accept, don't you, that non-attendance with a yellow box reflects apologies, so those that were apologies for the training sessions. Do you agree with that?
not really. I mean, it is one rationale, yes, one reason of non-attendance. I don't think that was, I'm not very impressed with the matrix colour chart as it relates, but the evidence I gave the other day was my interpretation of the sheet.
All right, and if you can scroll down to row 199, please. You'll see there, Monday, 7 July, workplace health and safety induction. You see that?
Yes,
You see in the notes, apologies,
yes,
Councillor Rostevsky, Councillor Ibrahim, Councillor Karnib, and some others.
yes,
And if you can please go across to the summary sheet, please. You'll see down the bottom, 7 July. I'm sorry, there'll be a little bit of, you'll either have to shrink it so that we can see the headings. But you can see up the top, Councillor Rostevsky is the very last column. And if you go to the box with him, it's non-attendance.
non-attendance, yes,
And you'll agree with me, won't you, that he was reported as an apology. So his non-attendance was because he was an apology.
absolutely.
And if you can please pull up document RIS.002.001.001. Yes, certainly. It's 0001, RIS.002.001. Yes, please. Now, this is the initial section for work, health and safety. If you can scroll down, please, to about midway on the first page. You can see there an email from Council Support, 23 May. And if you can go over the next page, please. Talks about a work, health, safety session that's to take place on the 28th of May. See that?
Yes,
And if you can go back up to page 1, please. See an email from Councillor Rostevsky. Scroll up a little bit more, please. On the 23rd of May, indicating that he is unable to attend on that day. See that?
I can see the exhibit, yes. I wasn't copied into the email by the look of it, but yes, I can see it.
And if you can bring up, please, LCC.022.001.0042. Now, while that's coming up, you're aware, aren't you, that that training session was rescheduled to the 7th of July?
Yes,
Sorry, document.
Yes, please. And if you can go to the bottom of page 2, please. You can see here is a calendar invitation that sent out Councillor Support on Thursday, the 3rd of July, 2025.
yes,
And over the page, you see it's the reconvened work, health and safety session.
yes,
And you can then please go to page 2. You can see an email there from Councillor Rostevsky on the 3rd of July. I can't make this as I've previously emailed.
Yes.
And then if you can go please to page 1. You see there an email from yourself will record your apology.
Yes.
And if you cross-reference that back to the summary training schedule that we were looking at just previously, Councillor Rostevsky is marked as a non-attendance, but you accept, don't you, that non-attendance reflects that he was an apology?
100%. Yes.
Now, you gave evidence to the Commissioner on the 27th of August that you have re-engaged Clayton Utes to provide that work health and safety induction training to the councillors that were not picked up or didn't attend the training on the first occasion. All that evidence?
Yes.
And Commissioner, for your reference, that's transcript 1753 at lines 12 to 16. And the evidence that you gave to the Commissioner was, as of this morning, based on yesterday's evidence, we've re-engaged Clayton Utes to pick up Mr Rostevsky and the 4 Labor councillors who did not attend the 7/7/25 session and have organised for that training to be undertaken. Do you recall that evidence?
Yes.
And so your evidence to the Commission was that you were re-engaging Clayton Utes as a result of the evidence that had been given on the 26th of August. Is that right? If you can pull up, please, email RIS.003.001.002. You can go to the bottom of page 1 on that, please. Yes, please. And you can see there, just the bottom of that, you see an email 27th of May. That's an email confirming that work health safety shift was rescheduled to the 7th of July.
Yes.
And if you look up the page, please, you will see an email. You can scroll up a little bit more, please. You will see there an email from Councillor Rostevsky on the 7th of August, 2025. The email says, as I was unable to attend, that is the work health safety induction, can I please get a date for me to attend a session around this important issue? See that?
Yes.
And are you aware of whether any action was taken in relation to this request at about 7 August 2025?
Yes. Tina Bono had talked to me on the basis that I needed another one done. Tina had said that we are arranging one. So I basically said, well, let's get it done.
And if you
that's the extent of my knowledge.
And if you can pull up, please, document RIS. Sorry, that conversation with Tina Bono, when did that occur?
On the morning in my evidence, that would have been the morning of the 27th.
The morning of the 27th?
Yeah, I basically said we need to organise another one, and Tina had said something similar to we had it underway, and I basically said, well, let's get it done.
If you can pull up then, please, RIS.002.001.006. Yes, please. And just scroll down to the bottom for context, please. Happy to go over the page if you need to, but you can see Councillor Rostevsky, 7th of August 2025. In fact, if you could scroll down, please, you can see that's the email where he's asking for the session to be organised.
Yes.
And you can see that email there from Councillor Support on the 26th of August 2025 that the inquiry had been forwarded to the relevant team for response.
Yes.
And under Regulation 185 and 186 of the local government regulations, you have overall responsibility for training of councillors. That's correct, isn't it?
Yes.
Were these emails brought to your attention at the time?
I was in the box at the time, 10:28 a.m.
You weren't in the box on the 7th of August, though, were you?
No, it wasn't. I had no discrete knowledge of when or when not that training was going to occur.
So having a look at these emails now and reflecting on your evidence from last week that the work health and safety training Clayton Utes was re-engaged because of the evidence that you gave to the Commission.
Mm-hmm.
Do these emails, you accept, don't you, that your evidence didn't make any reference to these emails from Councillor Rostevsky?
No.
And do these emails...
Sorry, I accept that.
And do these emails impact the evidence that you gave to the Commissioner about the reason why the work health and safety training was reorganised?
So pure concurrency, which I wasn't aware of. So it looks like the team were working on something on the back of Mr. Rostevsky's emails, and I escalated or reprioritised in my mind that we needed to get it done for all the councillors that had missed out.
So in your mind, the priority for getting it done was because it had been missed out and not because Councillor Rostevsky was asking for the training. Am I understanding your evidence correctly?
Well, kind of, but the fact is I didn't know about that. Okay, so not everything that at that level I would be aware of, and to what extent they progressed into the remedial or the residual training opportunity, I didn't know, but certainly when it came up in this forum, I inquired and made sure it was done.
If I can bring up another document, please, still on training, going to a slightly different topic, RIS.002.001.0001.0005. And that can go on the live stream, thank you. You can go down to page 3 of that email chain, please. And you can see here there's an email from yourself on the 30th of July,
Yes,
sent to all councillors.
yes,
Social media is a difficult field to navigate.
yes,
And you refer to a course, Managing Media Skills, and you have a link.
yes,
You can please go to the document RIS.002.001.0011. And if you can scroll down, please, to page 2. Is that an extract of the link to the course that you sent?
yes,
And you can see there that's Managing Media for Councillors.
yes,
This practical workshop has been designed by journalists to better equip councillors and relevant professional staff with practical techniques, enabling them to be more comfortable, confident and effective in dealing with media. See that?
yes.
And if we can go back, sorry, Associate, jumping around a bit, back to the email chain RIS.002.001.0005.
Whilst that's coming up, I'm sorry, Ms. Hamilton, I just missed the first page. Was that a local government New South Wales?
It was the
Fire?
Office of Local Government New South Wales, yes, Commissioner.
OLG or local government New South Wales?
Local government, New South Wales.
Local Government New South Wales, apologies, Commissioner. I conflated the O in the logo.
That's all right.
And if you can go to page 3 again, please, towards the top. And you can see there's an email back there from Councillor Rostevsky on the 30th of July. I would like to enrol in this course.
Yes,
Are you aware as to whether or not that was actioned at the time? That is on or about 30th of July, 2025.
I am not aware.
Right. If you can continue up the chain, please. And go to the bottom of page 1. There's an email back on the 31st of July from Councillor Support,
Yes,
confirming the below is the course you wish to attend. And if you can go over the page, please. This is a different course. This is Social Media Policy for Councillors. See that?
yes,
Commissioner, I will just give you the reference, but I don't need to take you to it. There is likewise an extract from the Local Government New South Wales page, which is RIS.002.001.0009. Just has that text in a slightly more legible format.
Thank you.
And you can see there, if you go back to page 1, please, Councillor Rostevsky writes back on the same day, July 31st, I want to do the 30 October date.
yes,
And I think you've already said you weren't aware of those requests and those emails at the time.
no,
Can you please go to RIS.002.001.0007? Yes, please. And if you can go to probably about midway through the page, you can pick up there, and that's the email chain that we were just looking at from Councillor Rostevsky on the 31st of July
yes,
to Councillor Support. And if you look further up the page, you'll see an email from Councillor Rostevsky to councillor support. Can I please get acknowledgement that previous email has been received? You see that?
Yes.
And so are you aware of the request to attend that course being actioned in the period July 31 to 26 August?
No.
And just to close that out, that has been actioned. It was actioned on the 27th of August, and just for your, and we can pull it up on the live stream, but RIS.002.001 0008 See, there's an email from Local Government New South Wales to Councillor Ristevski.
Yes.
Order confirmation.
Yes.
And in fact, I think it's proper that we go over to the next page where it talks about item number. You can see a social media policy for councillors.
Excellent. Yes. Thank you. Yes.
Right. So you accept, don't you, that social media training has now been organised and booked for Councillor Ristevski
Yes.
to take place in October. And now you gave evidence to the Commissioner on the 26th of August in relation to your responsibility as the CEO in relation to training that is to be provided to the councillors.
Yes.
And you referred to your obligations under Regulation 185 of the Local Government Regulations.
Yes.
And for your reference, Commissioner, that transcript reference is T1710 at lines 15 to 28.
Have you got the date?
26th of August.
Thanks.
And you're aware, aren't you, Mr. Breton, that the obligations in Regulation 185 provide that you must ensure that an ongoing professional development program is delivered to the Mayor and to each other councillor?
Yes.
And you're aware that the obligation in 185 provides that you must provide support and assistance to the Mayor and to the other councillors in the development of the skills necessary to perform their respective roles.
Yes.
And you accept, don't you, that the obligation to develop a professional development program is to be developed by you in consultation with the Mayor and each councillor?
Yes.
And you were asked some questions by Senior Councillor assisting about the professional development plans for councillors.
Yes.
Now, recently, on the 29th of August, you emailed Councillor Ristevski to set up a meeting to talk about his professional development plan. That's
Yes.
correct, isn't it? But you did not at any time prior to the 29th of August speak to or email Councillor Ristevski about his professional development plan, did you?
No.
And you did not at any time prior to the 30th of July seek to encourage Councillor Ristevski to enrol in any social media training, did you?
Prior to the generic email to all councillors? No.
And you didn't, prior to your evidence, was that it was on the 26th of August, your evidence before the Commission. You didn't, prior to that point in time, seek to follow up on additional work health and safety training for councillors that were unable to attend the 7 July training session. Is that
No.
correct?
That's correct.
Commissioner, my next topics actually relate to evidence that was done in a closed session.
Okay.
But then I will come back again as we follow through the days to other topics that were also dealt with in closed session.
Okay.
So if it's convenient to you, Commissioner, I propose to deal with the topics out of order so that we only need go into closed session once.
Yes. All right. Pursuant to section 12B, they're all.
Oh, no, sorry, Commissioner. What I'm saying is I will skip over it now and do the topics. out of
Oh,
order.
I'm sorry. Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Excuse me one moment, please.
Did you contact other councillors on the 29th of August to set up a meeting about a professional development? I think the word is program or whatever the word is in the regulation.
Yeah, I don't recall. I'd spoken to Tina again against this about this concept of how properly we're doing the individual development programs, but I did contact
If you
councillors.
haven't, is it something that you intend to do?
Yeah, absolutely.
Each councillor individually?
Yeah, I think I've given an evidence, Commissioner, that the way we record it is poor, and we need in the annual, remember the annual report? There's kind of 3 dot points about a collective stuff. I need to understand in the annual report which training has been agreed to and then which training has been completed in that year.
That needs an anterior step of setting out and looking.
Yeah, we need to do that better.
A forward-looking program.
Yep, and much
Agreed.
better. Yep, with more and the initial consultation between the councillor and the CEO is a missing gap we have to fix up.
Now, Mr. Breton, you were asked some questions by Senior Counsel Assisting in relation to whether counselling or informal warnings had been given in relation to the use of social media.
Yes.
And you have on occasions asked for social media posts to be updated or removed, haven't you?
Yes.
And just an example of that, if you can, if I can pull up, please, RIS.003.001.001. That can be live streamed. If you can go to page 2. This is some SMS messages that have been exchanged between yourself and Councillor Ristevski.
Okay.
Go to page 2, please. You'll see there's a text message there on the 10th of January. Conveniently, the arrow seems to be pointing to it. Peter, not sure using, and you can read that to yourself there.
Yes.
Please consider.
Yes.
You can see the response there from Councillor Ristevski.
Yes.
And then over the page, if you go down the bottom, please, you can see a further response from you on the 13th of January.
Yes.
And if you can scroll over the page, please, and you reference there the code of conduct.
Yes.
And you had no difficulties there in referencing the code of conduct.
Yes.
And if you can then please go down to the next blue box, I'll get my printer to manufacture a new one.
Yes.
And if you can go down to page 5, please, you can see there's a picture and you accept, don't you, that logo has been changed.
Yes.
And you say, thanks, mate.
Yes.
So that's an example of when you have used text messages to write to Councillor Ristevski to raise an issue in relation to social media, and he has changed it on your request.
He has.
And now I appreciate that you're not copied to the next set of emails, but if I can just take you to another example, RIS.002.001.0003. Yes, please. If you can go to page 2, please. On the bottom, please. You can see there's an email from Shane Mallard to Councillor Ristevski. I'm writing to request a correction.
Yes.
And if you can go up the page, please. A little bit more so we can see that. Thank you. You can see there's a response from Councillor Ristevski the next day.
Yes.
Thank you for your email. And the third paragraph, in relation to your email, I'm happy to assist and work with council to cooperate. So I think it's more prudent that you approach me first, then, I think that's meant to be then, lodging a code of conduct where it costs the ratepayer a minimum of $15,000 for each claim. See that?
Yes.
And you see the next paragraph?
Yes.
And if you can then please go up to page 1.
See the first email? It just moved off the screen before Breton even had a chance to read the full email.
All right, Mr. Breton, if at any stage you need a moment to digest the document, feel free to say so.
Thank you. I'm aware of the issue.
Thank you.
And if you can then please scroll up the page, there's a further email exchange from Shane Mallard on the 5th of June.
Yes.
And you can see a response from Councillor Ristevski on the 5th of June saying fixed.
Yes.
So appreciating that you were not copied to these emails and you probably haven't seen them before, that's another example of an issue being raised and it being fixed, to use the words in the email.
Yes.
If I can show you, please, RIS.002.001.0002. Now, this shouldn't be put onto a live screen because there's personal information in relation to a person. If it can just be displayed in the room, please.
Yes.
If we can start at the bottom of page 1, please. you'll see there is an email from yourself to Councillor Ristevski.
Yes,
The heading is social media post containing personal information.
yes,
And you say attached correspondence for your information.
yes,
We go down to page 3. And you see there's a formal letter there from yourself to Mr. Ristevski.
yes,
And you referred to the post containing personal information.
yes,
Could I just see the signature block? Thank you.
And that's your signature?
yes, e-signature, yes. It's my signature.
All right. Now, there's a paragraph there. While I'm aware that you are not the original author of the post and reposted it, the nature of the post contains personal information.
Yes,
And in the next paragraph, take this opportunity to remind you of your obligations as a councillor under the Code of Conduct.
yes,
Skip over the next section and I ask that you consider removing the post. Do you see that?
yes,
And if we can go back to page 1, please. You can see there's 2 emails from Councillor Ristevski, one on the 4th of June. You see that?
yes,
And Councillor Ristevski says, I'm glad that you, in the last paragraph, I'm glad that you approached me first rather than a code of conduct being lodged, as I'm more than happy to work with you to ensure that my messaging aligns with the new social media policy. See that?
yes,
And then if you can scroll up the page, please, you'll see there an email on the 5th of June
yes,
from Councillor Ristevski to yourself. It has been removed.
correct.
So you accept, don't you, that when requests are made in relation to social media posts, they're actioned and they're actioned quite quickly.
I accept that on those 3 examples you have given me, that has occurred expeditiously.
And other than those emails, there've been no other occasions on which you've sent an email to Councillor Ristevski setting out that he should remove particular social media posts?
Not individual ones, no, you're right.
Now, you also gave some evidence, transcript T1814. McDonald, just wait a minute.
I've got it. Thank you.
Got it?
29th of August.
29th of August. You gave some evidence in relation to whether or not formal warnings in relation to social media had been given.
Yes,
And you gave evidence in relation to informal discussions that you have had with Councillor Ristevski in relation to social media and code of conduct complaints.
yes,
Now, without traversing the content of code of conduct complaints, I just wish to take you to some of the documents that were discussed on the last occasion. You can pull up, please, LCC.003.001.0005. Yes, please. And the question put to you by Senior Counsel Assisting was, now this, from my reading of the page, seems to be a summary of meetings that you've had with the councillor.
yes,
And your answer was yes. And is my understanding correct? You compiled this for the purpose of the safe work investigation?
yes. Kathleen Maltby had asked me for it.
And that was a list of all of the times on which you'd met with that councillor.
Look, I think it's all the times. There may have been another one. There may have been another one, and there may have been some post the end date, so post 22.
And you gave evidence that the discussions on the 14th of October, and we
Yes,
can see the note there is meet and greet,
yes,
and the 28th of November, and the description there is general discussions.
yeah.
That
About
those
CPAC, yeah, the solar powerhouse.
that those were in fact general discussions.
Yes,
That evidence is at transcript 1814, line 1 to 1815.
yes,
You were then asked about the discussion that took place on the 9th of January,
yes,
and you had a diary entry in relation to that discussion,
yes,
and that is LCC.003.001.006. Yes, please. And that's the note there of the discussion that you had on the 9th of January.
Yes.
And that diary entry, was that prepared on the 9th of January, or was that prepared for the purposes of the safe work investigation and setting out the list of discussions?
No, it was prepared on the 9th of January, and then I went through my book and then made the summary note.
Sorry, I missed that because of the noise outside. Would you
Okay,
like to
so
read it?
I made those notes contemporaneously, and then when I was asked by Kathy Maltby to produce the schedule of meetings, I went through my book and saw when the dates were.
And that meeting, it took place in a cafe?
I think it was at Inglis. I usually meet Peter at Inglis Hotel, which has a cafe near the foyer.
And that meeting was arranged by text message?
They usually are, yes.
All right, if we can go to ris.no. And you accept, don't you, that it was an informal chat?
Yes.
And your diary note doesn't purport to be a minute of what was discussed?
No, it's very brief.
And it doesn't cover all of the topics that were discussed?
No.
And there were other topics that were discussed during this coffee?
Pleasantries, yes.
And there was no note taker or a second person that was taken to the meeting?
No.
Now, apologies, Associate, I'm going to ask you to flip between two documents. If you can go back to the file note 0006, please. You accept, don't you, that this diary note is not, you have already accepted, this is not a minute of what was discussed?
Yes.
It's just really a summary of the theme that you felt was important from that discussion?
Well, yes, one of the general themes, yes.
And this note on the 9th of January doesn't refer to work health and safety, does it?
No, the words work health and safety aren't in there. They're covered within the general themes of the code of conduct and, of course, alternate means and escalation. So there's some key themes in there, but the words WHS aren't in there.
And the words behavioural discussions don't appear in there either, do they?
Yes, all three of those issues. Well, they're all considered the impact of behaviour, but the words don't exist, no.
But those words, your summary of the file note, the list of discussions at 0005 refers to work WHS, which we can take to mean work health safety.
Yes.
And behavioural discussions.
Correct.
And there's no reference on that cover note to COC or code of conduct, is there? Or we can go back and have a look at it.
No, I'm clear on the rationale.
So is this your evidence that you were raising fairly serious concerns that you had in relation to social media and its escalation in an informal chat at a coffee shop?
They're not my words. This approach was considerate of Councillor Ristevski and absolutely appropriate. If I could get through to Councillor Ristevski at this stage and try and one-on-one have a discussion about whether his methodology was appropriate, etc., etc., etc. I never doubted your client's intent. It was the way he was applying it. And I wanted to tell Peter on a number of occasions, including this one, kind of not pull your head in, but just be careful about the way and the manner you're doing things, particularly the social media issues. And Peter understood that.
Well, we'll come back to that because I suggest to you that at no time during this meeting did you indicate to Councillor Ristevski that serious work health and safety issues were arising that could have serious implications for the council and for Councillor Rostevsky.
So you included the word serious there with respect. Where's the word serious reported in the summary or on that page? So I discount what you just said.
Sorry, Your Honour, I do object. Council asked a specific question. It wasn't answered.
I think that's right. Perhaps ask the question again. Just focus on the question. If there's something that Mr. Tynan feels we need to take up with you or Ms. McDonald, I'm sure that.
I suggest to you that at no time during this meeting did you indicate to Councillor Rostevsky that work health issues were arising that could have serious implications for the council or Councillor Rostevsky.
That's incorrect.
And I suggest to you that at no time did you refer to the words psychosocial hazards, did you?
No, I didn't. Psychosocial hazards? No.
And I suggest to you that the concerns that you did raise in relation to social media were not done with the appropriate seriousness, were they?
I think it needs to be established first what the appropriate course is before an assertion, or it can be put to Mr. Breton that he failed to comply with that
I
appropriate.
think that's right. I think that's probably just a little too general.
Certainly. I put to you that you didn't raise that there were serious implications for work health and safety for council.
The words escalate appear. I don't agree with what you're saying.
And you didn't refer to psychosocial hazards?
That nomenclature, no. I didn't talk to him about psychosocial hazards, but rather the behaviours.
And it would have been appropriate to raise that there were serious implications for council for work health and safety and in relation to psychosocial hazards. You accept that?
I did raise escalation.
You raised escalation, but not serious implications for work health and safety.
I raised escalation in the context that it all becomes serious and they have to escalate.
That was in the context of code of conduct issues. You accept that, don't you?
That's one of the issues there.
And you've accepted that you didn't raise psychosocial hazards.
I didn't use that word, no.
And so I suggest to you that your discussion did not convey that your concerns you raised in relation to social media were not done with the appropriate seriousness.
Thank you, but no, I don't agree.
And I suggest to you that your discussions did not convey with sufficient gravity the seriousness of the issue.
I don't agree with that.
And if you can go to the text messages, please, RIS.003.001.001. On page 2 of that chain. In fact, you'll need to start at the bottom of page 1. Just there, you can see that there's a blue box starting 9 January. That says 3:17 p.m.
Yes.
And if you can go over the page, you'll see the text message. Great catching up today.
Yes.
And that text message, great catching up today, do you accept that that text message is not consistent with a serious discussion in relation to the escalation of work health and safety and behavioural concerns being discussed at the meeting?
I object. No.
I think Mr. Breton can deal with that question.
No.
No, you don't accept that the message is inconsistent with a serious discussion being held?
Absolutely not. In context, it actually talks to that. He actually appreciated catching up today and he moves to another subject. So no, I don't agree.
And you did not at any
Sorry,
time.
the blue, Mr.
Breton.
Rostevsky or Mr. Breton?
Councillor Rostevsky.
Thank you.
Yes.
And am I correct in this understanding that you did not at any time send an email after this meeting to summarise the discussions that took place at that meeting?
I did not.
And if we can go back to the summary note of the discussions you had with Councillor Rostevsky, LCC.003.001.005. And you can see that refers to a discussion, a focused discussion on behaviour and policies.
Politics. Yeah.
Politics, apologies. And if you go over to LCC.000.003.001.007, Perhaps not because of the reference to the individual. I don't think we put it on the live stream on the last occasion.
I think that's right. Thank you.
But you can see there, this is your diary note of that discussion.
Yes.
And it's not minutes of what was discussed, was it?
No.
And you accepted on the last occasion that this was just your interpretation of what the councillor said.
Yes.
And that's at T1817, lines 6 to 11. And again, this was a discussion that took place in a coffee shop.
Yes. English.
And it was an informal discussion.
Yes.
And you discussed other matters.
Yes.
You discussed, for example, the councillor having a truck ride along.
Having a
truck ride along.
yes, he'd asked to go along with the crew.
And you discussed Middleton Grange.
Yes.
And there were some other topics that were discussed.
There always is, yes.
And again, your note only records the themes that you thought were important. It's not a transcript, is it?
It's not a transcript, no.
So the informal discussions that you have had with Councillor Stevsky, those were the discussions on the 9th of January and the 20th of February, is that correct?
Yes. I've had some more. That just wasn't after that, yeah.
And after this discussion on the 20th of February, you did not send any email to summarise the discussions that you had with Councillor Stevsky, did you?
No.
Commissioner, I'm about to move to some topics now that will traverse evidence that was dealt with in the private hearing.
All right. Is it everyone who's in the room can remain? Yes, thank you. All right. Pursuant to section 12B of the Royal Commissions Act, I direct that the next passage of the hearing take place in private and that the transcript of this part of the hearing not be published otherwise than in accordance with the usual direction. I think regrettably we'll need to close the door because there was earlier today, I think, a member of the public in the premises. I don't know whether that's still the case, but we'll close the door anyway.
The overflow room, does that?
It does, that cuts, but all right, we've resumed in public session. Yes, Mr. Ton.
Thank you, Commissioner. We do not oppose my friend's application.
All right. Then I will vary the direction I made pursuant to section 12B of the Royal Commissions Act on the 27th of August 2025 to the effect that what appears in the private transcript at pages 61, 62, 63 and 64 is no longer subject of my direction.
Commissioner, I might have
With that in public.
I might have missed it, but did you say it was those pages on the 27th of August?
Yes.
Apologies, I missed that.
Yes.
Thank you.
So from 61 onwards until the end is no longer caught by my direction on that day and can be dealt with in public.
May I please? Mr. Breton, you recall that you gave some evidence to the Commissioner in relation to the time taken in council meetings.
Yes.
And you recall giving some evidence that essentially council that was running out of time and were, I think you said, smashing things through in 3 minutes.
Yes.
For that evidence. And you gave an example about a debate that in your view took too long.
Yes.
And do you recall that you gave evidence to the Commissioner that you spent 70 to 80 minutes on whether it was sandwiches or wraps after a motion to feed the public?
Yes, cleared up today at 14 minutes.
And that was at page 61 of the transcript, lines 44 through to 46.
Yes.
And I will come back to your evidence today. And on page 63 of that transcript, at lines 22, you said, I didn't predict 70 minutes on sandwiches, Commissioner.
Yes.
And then you gave evidence that the wraps won. Do you recall?
Yes, yes.
And you were asked about what month it was, and you gave evidence that it was the council meeting in June of this year.
That's
Recall that?
funny, yes.
And you gave evidence to the Commissioner this morning that the debate was just 14 minutes. You recall
Correct.
that? Now, is there anything else in relation to that evidence that you would like to revise?
No, only the clarification that during that meeting it was consistent with my evidence. The issue around the sandwiches wraps went for 14 minutes, but it was indicative of a number of other matters in the term of this council where relatively minor matters or interactions between councillors have taken an inordinate amount of time, particularly matters raised and argued by your client that didn't get seconded, et cetera, and then the amount of matters we need to deal with in the last 30 minutes of council meeting. Now, I stand by my evidence. The evidence is available to anybody that wants to watch the last 30 minutes of every single council meeting since this new council has been endorsed. I think we've achieved 2 council meetings under 2 or 3 council meetings under the 5-hour threshold. And again, as stated today in the February meetings, an average of 18 matters at 1.67 minutes, until under 2 minutes for 18 matters in the 30 minutes of the February meetings. I think there was 16 and 18, 16 and 19 at an average of 18 matters. So we have this consistent position in council where we are dealing with non-material matters relative to the business of council, which is getting smashed through in the last minutes of council. That's my evidence. It's consistent. It's available for examination.
And the evidence that you gave on the 27th of August was that the debate took 70 to 80 minutes, but you've clarified that this morning, that it was...
There was a debate in that meeting that took a very, very long time.
But it wasn't the debate about the sandwiches or the wraps?
It wasn't. That was 14 minutes.
And if you can, the YouTube video of that council meeting has been put into IQ. I'll give you the reference, Commissioner. It's inq.062.001.001.
Yes.
It may not be necessary to go to it, but that's the doc ID in any event. If I can take you to RIS.002.001.0004, and just while that's coming up, when did you realise that your evidence that it wasn't 70 to 80?
Oh, I checked it.
You checked it?
I was suspicious that I'd overcooked it.
And you didn't, at any time before the Commissioner raised it, clarify that evidence for the Commissioner, did you?
Did I?
So you checked it, you checked the video because you were concerned that you had...
I had somebody check the video and they told me it was 14 minutes that night.
And when was that? That night?
That night,
27th?
yeah.
And did you clarify that for the Commissioner? Did you come back on the 29th of August and say the evidence in relation to sandwiches and wraps was overstated?
Nope.
And did you clarify that this morning when you came to the evidence before the Commissioner?
When I had a chance, yes.
And only when the Commissioner raised that there was a debate that took about an hour?
Opportunity and segue, yes.
Yep. Now, this is a partial transcript and... Yes, it can. Thank you. And that timestamps the debate, and you can see there the timestamp is 4:35:08.
Yes.
And Commissioner, the timings are a bit different, and I am happy to go to the video if need be. But in the video that's in IQ, it's done in negative minutes, and so that timestamp is -103.
Say that again. So this has got 4:35.
Correct, and that's from the start. But when you actually try to scroll through in the video in IQ, it's done in negative minutes, so you need to get to -1 hour and 3 minutes.
-1 hour and 3 minutes. All right.
I think meaning that there's an hour left.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you can go down to page 4, please, Associate. That indicates that the timestamp ends at 4:44 and 14.
Okay.
And Commissioner, for your reference, that's -54 and 36.
Thank you.
And do you accept, Mr. Breton, that whether you take it as 4:35 to 4:44 or -1 hour and 3 minutes to -54 minutes, that you're in fact looking at just over 9 minutes?
Can you take me to the page one? If that's that's okay. I was told when I checked it, I had it checked, I was told 14 and I'm accepting it's 9.
So when you say when I checked it, you didn't yourself?
I asked Alan Gale to do it.
All right. So you accept though that the debate is actually just over 9 minutes.
Okay.
And have a read through that transcript. The motion is moved for food and snacks
Yes.
for public attendees. And if you can just see, sorry, line 6, if you can go to line 6, please. And that's a reference to Councillor Fiona McNaught.
Yes.
And the question there, you can see the debate is about whether or not a report on what this might cost should be obtained before the resolution is passed. You recall that?
Yes.
And so you recall that the debate was in fact about whether or not a report on the cost should be obtained first before the resolution to provide light snacks was passed.
Yes, that was one of the subjects, yes.
And so it in fact was not a debate about whether it should be wraps or sandwiches that were provided to the public. You accept that?
No, there's some reference to wraps or sandwiches in this.
Yes, there is a reference to wraps or sandwiches, and that was, I think it was Councillor Carnib in box 13. Take a minute to read that to yourself.
Yes.
And you can see, and probably line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can see there's a, reference to a couple of $100 on sandwiches that you see at the other governance meetings and those wraps that can come from downstairs. You see that? So there
Yes.
certainly was a reference to sandwiches.
Another one at line 16 or 17, yes.
Yes, but you accept, don't you, that the debate was not in fact about whether there should be wraps or sandwiches?
Oh, okay.
And
Can we just scroll up to box line 11, please?
11?
Sandwiches and wraps.
And if you can go to page 4, please. You can see there's a line there, essentially that the provision should be light snacks or light refreshments. You see that?
After a bit of laughing, yes.
Yeah, and the debate was all done in good spirits.
Oh, all councillors were laughing, ha ha ha.
Now,
Councillors, behave yourself.
but that was all done in good humour.
Seems like it's hilarious.
Now, Mr. Breton, you were a police officer for a very long time, weren't you?
23 years and 10 months.
And so you understand the importance then of giving evidence on oath, don't you?
Absolutely.
And you understand that giving evidence on oath, it has to be truthful evidence.
Absolutely.
And by truthful evidence, you understand that that has to be honest evidence.
Yes.
It has to be accurate evidence.
Yes, to the best of my ability, yes.
It has to be evidence that is not embellished.
It's, yes, it has to be a true evidence.
And it has to be evidence that is not exaggerated. You accept all
It has to be true evidence. Yes, it has to be my truth.
And I suggest to you, Mr. Breton, that you have on occasions in the evidence that you have given to this commissioner, that you have exaggerated your evidence.
Firstly, is that limited to some particular instances? And if so, are they the ones that my friend's just taken Mr. Breton to? And secondly, is it being put to Mr. Breton as to whether, in terms of procedural fairness and Brown and Dunn, to use that term, whether the evidence he gave, for example, in respect to sandwiches and wraps and the timing was to the best of his recollection at the time without the documents being put before him? It's a very serious allegation.
I accept that, Commissioner, and so I will do it differently.
All right. Deal with that, although I'm not sure if Brown and Dunn should be applied things like this, but the rules of procedural fairness certainly do. Thank you. Before anyone gets agitated.
Well, Mr. Breton, you gave evidence just a moment ago that after you gave the evidence that the debate about wraps or sandwiches took 70 or 80 minutes, you were concerned that you had overcooked that evidence. I think that was your concern.
In relation to the subject, yes.
And you...
Not the general theme. The evidence was true. 100% true. It was in relation to the specific sandwiches and wraps scenario. It didn't take 70 minutes. I accept that, and that's why I checked it.
But it also wasn't a debate about whether or not there should be wraps or sandwiches. There was a debate about whether or not there should be a report costing it before wraps and sandwiches.
That was part of the discussion along a general theme. And if we go back to the context in which the evidence was given, The general theme is we are wasting time on the small stuff and we are smashing through big stuff in 30 minutes. The evidence exists that is factual. That's my evidence to date. It's true, and I have not lied to the Commission, okay, albeit in retrospect, the time spent on wraps and sandwiches is conceded. I've given evidence in this Commissioner, that's been highly embarrassing for me in relation to my maturity and around other subjects around my candidacy for Liverpool City Council. That's been uncomfortable evidence, but been truthful. Exactly like all the evidence I've given during this proceeding.
Now, to answer my question, it wasn't a debate about whether there were wraps or sandwiches, but rather a debate about whether a report was required to demonstrate the potential impacts on the budget.
Object. Mr. Breton's answered that.
Respectfully, Commissioner, it was a non-responsive answer.
Said it was part of the wider debate. I can't put words in his mouth. I don't have a record of what Mr. Breton said, but he said it was part of it.
I know the evidence. I'm sorry.
I'm going to reject the question in that form.
May I please? The evidence that you gave to suggest that the wraps won, was that careful and correct evidence?
It was collateral evidence, yes. There were wraps there last council meeting.
But you have accepted, haven't you, that you overcooked the estimate of time in relation to how long the debate took?
That specific debate, there was another issue in that council meeting which took an inordinate amount of long time, which falls into the same category.
And I suggest to you that you have also exaggerated in your evidence to the Commission the tone of your discussions with Councillor Ristevski in relation to social media posts.
No.
I object. Well,
What's the objections?
we need some examples to go to specific documents rather than just a general allegation that Mr. Breton has exaggerated the tone in emails.
Well,
And-
yeah, I think that's right if it's going to be pursued further, but Mr. Breton has affected the proposition, the general proposition.
And I suggest to you that, well, noting the objections that I've raised, you recall I asked you some evidence about the councillor training schedule,
Yes.
and you gave some evidence about non-attendance and what that meant.
My interpretation on a spreadsheet, yes.
And so you've been quite prepared to give evidence to this Commission about what your interpretation of particular things is.
I was called to it.
And I suggest to you that when you gave evidence in relation to the risk assessments in relation to psychosocial hazards, your evidence was not whole and complete, and that it didn't refer to all of the risk assessments that had been carried out. Do you accept that?
No.
Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Tynan, you...
Could I raise an issue, please?
Yes.
Mr. Ajaka's counsel,
Yeah.
we've been communicating with him to get an indication of when he could appear. Could you excuse me for a minute?
Yes.
No.
Mm.
The indication that we have is that he is still in court and cannot get here today. We then sent an inquiry and just putting to one side Mr. Breton's availability, asking when else are you available this week? The indication was that he is available Friday afternoon and that the cross-examination that he wishes to undertake will take about 30 minutes. Now, we are exchanging by email or text message. I asked whether we could check again if there was any other availability of that council this week, and he's confirmed. Anyway,
That's what you have at the moment.
that's what we have at the moment. I raise it because has been occurring while Mr. Breton has been giving evidence.
Yeah.
I acknowledge, I think yesterday there was a reference to Mr. Breton had difficulties tomorrow. We obviously
Try
have,
to finish him today.
we have not checked, obviously, with Mr. Breton about if we take Friday when the council is available, his availability, or my learned friend's availability.
Commissioner, if I can assist.
Yes.
In part, I'm going to now ask for an application, make an application just for a short adjournment to speak to Mr. Breton.
All right.
To obtain those instructions in relation to his availability this week. Because I don't know the answer to that right now.
All right. And you would prefer to reserve your position until everybody else has asked whatever questions they want to ask, or is there something you can do this afternoon? Or do you want to talk to Mr. Breton?
Yeah, no, I need to take that on board. I forgot, with respect, I'd forgotten about Mr. Ajaka's counsel this afternoon. So, yes, I might reserve my position this moment and speak
Yes,
to Mr.
of course.
Breton and work out our best course.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Simple.
no fault of yours or anybody. I mean,
It is what it is.
anybody here,
It is what it
it's
is.
a bit of a moving beast.
I think it's fair to say we can probably accommodate, we will accommodate something, and I just need to get the instructions in relation to that.
Could I interrupt again? Excuse me, Thursday.
Why don't I?
Could I just indicate latest message from the council? Thursday morning he is available.
Why don't I do this? I'll adjourn. Mr. Tynan can talk to Mr. Breton. You can talk to Mr. Tynan. Someone can tell me when we're ready to resume. And until then, I'll go and sit in my room and wait for further developments.
Yeah.
Is that convenient?
Yes, thank you.
All right, I'll adjourn until I'm advised I'm needed. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Tynan.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Breton is available Friday afternoon.
Yep.
Currently, I've spoken to Senior Councillor assisting, and we've penciled in a start time of 2 p.m. to accommodate Mr. Ajaka's counsel, but he's going to let us know, as I understand it, and tell me if I'm wrong, please, that he might be available from midday, in which case we can also accommodate midday to get an earlier start.
Okay, and would prefer to wait for that to happen until
Yes, that was my next point. Thank you. We would appreciate that. That way we get all the cross-examination in inverted commas out of the way, and then we'll have our opportunity.
given that Mr. Breton,
Yes, that as well. That as well.
That's reasonable in this circumstance.
There-
All right. Well, heard that. Know that. We got close.
Best luck. Best luck.
And I'll see you at some stage on Friday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Breton. And I thank the parties for their efforts to try and get where I tried to get what I indicated yesterday. I'm very grateful, so that we don't have too much to go with Mr. Breton when he returns. Is there anything else for me to do this afternoon? All right. Okay. Thank you, everybody. I'll adjourn until 10 a.m. tomorrow. Thank you.